Welcome to another of our online reflections learning activities. This one's called Mental Focus, and it's got roots in mindfulness traditions. It's about noticing that when you pay attention to things, sometimes your attention wanders away and you can just gently bring your attention back. And that process is an interesting one for exploring how easy and hard it might be to actually stay tuned into something or other. This particular version we're going to do now is we're going to pick something which we're going to look at, but you can do it with anything that you're aware of. So you could do it with breathing, you could do it with something you can hear, you could do it with touch. Anything could be done. So let's do our activity. It's just got 3 very simple movements: pausing and choosing something to focus on, then staying focused on it, and then if you find your mind wandering, just gently returning to it. And then there's an opportunity to reflect afterwards. So if I can just invite you each to pause and become quiet and present, and allow yourselves to relax if you find you can do that. And just be aware of what you can see around you, and let something emerge that you'd like to pay attention to. Anything you're curious about, something that catches your eye. Nothing special in this really, just anything at all will actually do. And when you have chosen the thing you'd like to focus on, just stay focused on it, heeding it, being aware of it, noticing it, taking it in. And relax into that process of being aware, being focused on the thing that you're with. And if you find your mind wandering, as we often do, just gently return to focusing on the object you chose. So staying aware of and focused on the thing that you can see. And when you notice yourself wandering, if you do, just gently bringing your attention back to focus on the thing you can see. Let the seeing be whatever it naturally comes to be. Well, I just invite you to gently come back into the Zoom space with each other again, in your own pace. And if you feel moved to, you can just reflect on your experiences. And if anybody has any reflections, you can say them in a minute or so.
I was looking out the window at my lemongrass plant and just watching the way that it was moving in the breeze, and fascinated by that idea that we can't really see the wind, but this was a demonstration of that movement through time. And it was just, I had no trouble just sitting there being captivated by that movement.
That sounds lovely. Yeah.
It
does bring out some of the subtleties of seeing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Go for it, Anne-Louise. Yeah.
I initially focused on a very clear object within my home. I was drawn to it. It stands out. It's very bright and colorful, and it's a beautiful artifact. And then I realized I was especially drawn to the color within it. And then I actually started to realize that in multiple locations, even just to the right of me, to the left of me, in paintings, in items, all throughout, that color exists. And I started to think, well, now is that because I'm drawn to it and I choose things that have that color? Or, in some instances, culturally, it's a lucky color. So it features heavily in a number of things that are in my home. But also, is it just one of those colors? It's bright and it draws attention, it attracts people, therefore people use it in packaging, in decorations, in wording. I just realized how much I'm surrounded by that color, a really bright orangey red. It's beautiful. And then I came back to the Zoom space and realized I could see elements of it in each of your spaces as well. So that's interesting to me, how much a color can exist and flow throughout.
That's a really rich exploration of seeing, isn't it? And noticing the kind of the depths and the resonances that can lie behind it. And that thing of following the color patches is actually an exercise you can run into in Gestalt practice experiments. So just arrived de novo. Thanks, Annalise. Do you want to say anything, Marina? We told you.
I decided to focus on my speaker. Why not? And there's a metal grid design that covers the top of the speaker. And it's fascinating because I was convinced that there were all different shapes in it, that there were squares and horizontal rectangles as well as vertical rectangles. So I just kept looking closer and closer and realized there's none of those. It is actually a grid of squares. But if you just turn it around, or you just turn your head and look from different angles, it gives really different perspectives. And to me, that's what reflection's all about. You know, looking at different perspectives and you see different things.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, that's.
I could have stared at it for an hour. I didn't want to come back when you said come back.
Oh dear. It's easy in these environments to come back a bit quick, isn't it? And in class too, actually. But that's a lovely example of kind of getting into the intricacy of something through really staying focused on it much more than we often ordinarily would. Yeah, it was lovely. And Kate, if you'd like to, you can.
I was similar to Kath in that I was looking out of my window at a tree and focused on the leaves on a branch, and just found it really soothing, the movement and the birds that would come and sit on that branch while I was watching it. And I guess the idea that, you know, you don't often take the time to, you know, to look in one spot, and so much happens, whether it be the wind, the birds. It was really lovely. And I was the same as Marina. I didn't want to come back, but I'm here.
Yeah. That's a really interesting observation about how normally our attention moves around the visual field, moves around our circumstances. And it's a really different lens, isn't it, to actually stay focused on some particular thing and see what happens within that space, within that frame. So there you go. That's a surprisingly rich set of comments. At least you might find it surprising. And it just shows how interesting it can be to actually experiment with something like seeing or generally paying attention closely to something. So if you'd like to find out more details about this exercise and some of our other, well, quite a few of our other activities actually, you can get our Reflection for Learning guide from Advanced HE's website. The link's down the bottom there. Lots of different things to play with there that will be useful for helping students become more aware and more present, and to explore their own process of understanding and learning. And if you'd like to give us some feedback, if you try this out or any of our other exercises, and it'd be delightful to hear from you via email. So you can see the email there. It's reflection4lc@gmail.com with capital R for reflection and capital LC. It stands for Learning Circle, by the way. Thank you.